user group here in Eindhoven at the Nextview offices. So we're really excited to have you all here today to see a couple of nice presentations that we've had for you. So before we get started, a couple of things I want to share with you. Agenda for today, unfortunately we had one of our speakers, Marissa, had to cancel because she had, she couldn't be here today. So we'll hope to have her back in the next session at some point, but we still have two more presentations for you. One from Alex, who's going to talk us, I actually misplaced the name, sorry. The top one is from Alex, who's going to talk about all things around being a BI leader, how you can develop your teams, kind of processes that you can use, and he also has a couple of quick Tableau tips and tricks for us in his presentation. And then we have another presentation from Yuri and Luc, who are both from Nextview here, who are going to share their journey of empowerment through data with Salesforce and Tableau, a little bit of a combination there. And at the end, we'll have to see a little bit about the agenda. We had to make some quick readjustments, so depending on how we're doing on time, we might have some time for some more Tableau quick tips, or just some general Q&A or questions that you might have of our presenters, or some general Tableau questions. So today is nice. We're here now with about like 30 people, I think. But in November, there is a great event happening in Berlin, 13th and 14th of November. So it's being organized by the European Tableau community. It's free to attend. Obviously, you still have to travel there. I'm going. I think there might be a couple of more people planning to go from the Netherlands, but definitely also from the European.
Presenting.
Yes, Johan's going to be presenting as well, so that's going to be exciting. There's actually a really good amount of presentations. I think they have like 3 separate tracks every day for 2 days, so it's like a good mini conference and a great opportunity to learn more about Tableau, learn more about the community, and get excited. I've heard there's just a few more spots available, so if you're planning, make sure to sign up, because space is a little bit limited, and I think especially if you want to stay at the hotel where it's being held, then you definitely want to get that booked. So a couple of other things. Obviously, we're always looking for sessions like this for people to present. So if you have any topic that you're that you're looking to present on, or something you can share with this community, it can be like a really short, like 10 to 15 minute talk. It can be like 30, 45 minutes if you want. But definitely let us know if you have anything. Send us an email, come talk to me or Johan or Joris, who's now still at the door waiting for some last stragglers. But definitely let us know, because we're always looking for more people. We're trying to do like these events on a quarterly basis, so we need a good amount of talks to make them work. Great thanks to Nextview for hosting us today. Obviously, we're always looking for more places that we can have these events at. If you have a space that can hold like here about 30 to 50 people or even more, we're eager to get in touch with you. So it's because that's always kind of a bottleneck for us to host even more events. So if you have a space or your company that we may be able to use, let's get in touch and see what we can do. Well, you're already signed up to this event, so I think you found our Bevy page, our usergroups.tableau.com. If you haven't yet, somehow you ended up here without signing up, make sure to sign up. Then you're in our mailing list. You get notified of all the upcoming events and other notifications. We'll probably also send an email after the event with a bit more information around some of the presentations that we've had today. Make sure you're connected there. And that's everything I had for you. So now I'm just going to hand it over to Alex to get us started on his presentations. There you go.
Thanks. So, hi everyone. My name is Alex, and I'm from Luxoft. And today, maybe I will start with also some appreciation to the organizers. And thanks for inviting, for gathering us here today. And it's not easy task to get here in the middle of the working week, right? So thanks for organizing. And before I jump into this topic of my session, I would probably start with some warming tips and tricks with Tableau. So just to involve you more, because the whole topic is about managerial stuff, some practices and frameworks around Tableau in enterprise BI Tableau project. But to add some fun into, I will start with 5 minutes probably, and will end also with something like that. So here is something, right, in Tableau. Some maybe guess what is this all about. Yes, no. This is actually the Tableau workbook structure presented at the graph using the great tool from Tristan, as you probably know him, the author of special tools for some sophisticated visual representations, charts. So that was, I would not dive into the idea, the technical part, but this is the workbook where calculations, parameters, and links between them presented in this way. So, for example, I can choose some reports from our landscape and see, again, this structure, nice looking, and analyze what I have inside. And for example, I can choose the calculations, try to analyze what connections there are inside, and also by data sources I can choose and see some structure insights about my workbook. Why we do that? We try to find the way to analyze workbooks' health, right? To visualize what we have inside the workbook, because you see, the workbook, the report, if it is complicated and has long history of editing, it gets the pretty complicated structure inside with some obsolete objects, and you need to clean up. And also when you transfer one report between developers, it's hard to understand the structure quickly, right? So that was the attempt to visualize the structure of the workbook, and we try to figure out what elements, what parts of calculations can be removed, etc. So there is also possibility to add entities without links, so without any relations between each other. So that's just, let's say, fun version of fine application of graph charts for Tableau itself. So it requires some data preparation with Python, but after that you can also get such a view. Okay. So let me jump into the topic of my section. So I will try to tell you about challenges of Tableau project, enterprise Tableau project, and our creative approach, how to cope with them. So how we actually try to manage these challenges and pain points. And who am I, right? Actually, I'm the head of BI at Luxoft, leading the corporate BI project. We have, I don't know, maybe we are like some middle-sized project, so we have around 2,000 people, active users, and actually not so much, maybe active around 1,800, but anyway. And so we developed Tableau for last 10 years as a corporate BI tool. So that's why we have so many practices and workarounds, frameworks around Tableau. So what we call it around Tableau tools. and management practices. So Luxoft itself, it's a corporate, it's a IT outsourcing company, consultancy company, software engineering company. So we have around 17,000 employees globally, mostly presented right now with such locations like Poland, Ukraine, India, and Romania, and Germany, etc., Serbia. Next 40 minutes, my plan to tell you about, I will not share Tableau dashboards during this time, right? That's the spoiler. And I mostly will focus on how we make enterprise Tableau projects really exceptional, truly advanced, I would say. So we always inside our team, we think that our product is the best one in Europe. Of course it's not, but that's how we motivate ourselves. So during this session, you should feel two kinds of feelings. So the first is some crisis of your internal BI manager. So you should feel some kind of pain about some, topics, and then finally you should feel some psychotherapeutic effect of after that. So because I hope there will be a positive perception after that. I mean, some feeling that everything is okay and go and be okay. So just one question to you. Who is representing corporate BI environment? Could you raise your hand? I mean, develop reports inside the company, right? Great, okay, thanks. Who knows adoption rate of your reports? So finally, what's the percentage of users that uses report finally? Okay, do you have the figure? I mean, can you tell what you think the percentage from the total of users that you expect to use your system? Around figures. So 10%. 10, all right, 15 maybe, yeah, around that. So this is the common, widely known information about averages here, and basically most companies find themselves in this range between 15 and 20, 25, depending on the logic, how you calculate it, of course. We have around that, if we talk about active users per month, from the total number of users that we expect to use the system. But it depends, depending on the role, right? That's maybe the first pain point that we will dive into details further. So that's, really cool to be a Tableau developer, right? That's why we came into this profession, because we like to building dashboards, right? And that's really cool to be the BI developer, because you focus on these activities, right? Dashboarding, best practices, visual part, etc. But what is happening then? It's not so. It's not the same when you're becoming when you start leading BI project, and you acquire different neuroses, I would say. So different things that you start thinking about, and let's take these 5 examples. Honest look on BI adoption figures frustrates you. Self-service BI is generating ugly and confusing content. Data BI team always needs to grow and recharge their batteries, otherwise they leave in you. Data governance projects are stalled, and your team suffers most because like data quality, which is often poor. It's really pretty close related with the quality of reports and associated with reports. At the same time, that could be not your responsibility, right? And you cannot control the quality of the systems, data in systems. And storm of new tools, GPT something, like all next-gen BI always appear and makes you feel that you fall behind, that you need to refine what tools you have, what if you need to purchase the new one, etc. So in this state, in these conditions, there is different options for BI leader, for BI manager, to focus on this, to get angry, frustrated, burn out, change places of work, then return to starting point. And another way is to find some resources to realize the overall complexity of corporate BI landscape, DNA landscape, data analytics, define and accept the constraints of your company. Here I link this to the theory of constraints by Goldratt, but this is just the overall understanding, right? What your business model of your company, how it is related with data. Match with resources and set realistic goals, and focus on building real practices and frameworks for around your BI, around your Tableau installation. That is where I want to start sharing our process of and frameworks that I am talking about. So here is the overall landscape of the BI project, how we see it in our team. It includes, you see many components inside that could be more and less relevant for a specific company, but in general, every BI project, every Tableau project should have something about each component here. So starting with the vision, of course, but here it's not so important. What I wanted to show here is that we can choose several streams, have several branches that are important for my team specifically at this moment, and then discuss and create solutions in specific areas. For example, we take the centralized reporting factory area and say that, hey, we see there is the gap, the space for improvement in cross-functional reporting delivery, in promotion, in marketing, in UX practices, and etc. So that I would not read everything, so it would be too much. Another area, for example, for our team that we focused on is the information supply demand, when we analyzed what information needs our corporate roles have, and match them with our demand, with our supply of reporting, right? So different methods around that. Another stream, this staff strategy, because we, as everyone, have the some attrition, some growing processes, and this where we have this BI competency metrics and BI analyst upgrade guide, which I also plan to show. And another stream about self-service BI model and how self-service and centralized reporting should be interrelated, what processes between them, what is certification for us, what is beautification services, mentoring, and transition processes between two layers. So that's also some focus that we had there, right? So just if we talk about this innovation, BI innovation map, how we call it as a framework, so you can also probably have the same approach. So we used to build it, then we vote inside our team what we feel most less important, and then finally we put it into some roadmap of initiatives that we started, and we developed inside our team. So the idea of this slide is just keeping in mind all aspects of BI development. You can focus only on current constraints that will help your team to have a next step specifically during one quarter or several quarters, focusing on really important game changers. So let's focus on 3 topics and 3 pain points, challenges. So I will start with the challenge of BI adoption, which we already mentioned at the beginning. So BI adoption figures that frustrate you, right? Probably you have another experience, but what I see inside our team and like in other companies, we have pretty similar like case when any company purchase BI system, then like hire team, then develop the frameworks of centralized BI, self-service BI, and then finally we have the state when only 4% of reports actually generates the target result. That can be different figures, but anyway, I would say that 86% of reports dies within 3 months due to process change, business focus change, driver dismissal, and etc. Some part of reports continue working with some average traffic, right? And 5% around that reports generates really good results. And that's maybe even normal, right? But we always want to improve this and make another proportion of results. So how we try to do that? So several practices. Again, maybe it's something that you also do. In terms of information supply demand, why it is important. So first, how we understand adoption. For us, it's not just the number of active users. So it's also a number of active users that have used the right report weighted by the user rank. So not for us, not any user are equal, sorry, in this term. So depending on the rank in company hierarchy, like one view of one user, and for example, that would be a recruiter or HR partner, and the view from like executive manager, the decision that they made have different value, and that's why their views also we need to weight it based on their let's say importance, but that's maybe the bad one, the bad word for that. But anyway, we weight views and our adoption become more fair, we believe. But then what else? I present here 3 practices. First is analytical use cases map for key roles. This is the view that actually presents the how to say, so the map of analytical needs by presented in this way. So we analyze the processes where this specific person, let's say account manager, is involved. Then we divide it into specific activities. Then we define analytical use cases and questions that user have in this specific activity. Then we map this to metrics, and then we map that to reports. And we see where we have reports, where we don't have reports, but we have this tree of analytical use cases mapped to processes, to metrics, and it's really good one to conduct trainings with these people. When you onboard new account manager, you can just give him the map and say, hey, you see these processes, and there is these reports for them. Another tool that we have is information supply demand metrics, which aggregates actually the previous information where we see key roles and key data domains. And inside we see how we cover these needs with our reports. And you see there is red zones, yellow zones, green zones, and that's finally gives us the direction to where we need to focus our attention, where it's not good coverage, there is no coverage. And also we use the approach with surveys to get the feedback about the information needs that we missed, and that's why we regularly ask people to give us feedback on the information needs in their role that they have. Another topic of BI adoption boost is DNA products delivery. So here some several tools that we developed around BI system. First is special interface, reporting workspace, and specific search. It's help casual users to navigate through reports. So sometimes Tableau portal becoming too complicated because of content to navigate to that reports that just 3, 5, 20 reports developed specifically for this role, and get the idea about how to use these reports, what's the short description of these reports. That's why specific portals appear, right? And here is the example that we have. This is integrated into the native search, the native corporate portal, and that's that helps users to get the right direction to find the right report. Another tool that we developed right now, and we just last week we turned it into, we published it into production. So this is the GPT-driven chatbot that helps users to navigate to write reports. So actually 2 scenarios we have. This is help with glossary. So it's again standalone glossary that we have in our data catalog. So it's not, for now it's not related with Tableau, it's in progress. But it can answer the question, what is the TCV, what is the IYR, what is the attrition, and giving these answers. And then it can give, for user can ask what report I can use to monitor this metric. What is the best report, or what 3 reports recommend me several reports to analyze this. And the bot will recommend relevant report. And next, the third question is, how can I use it? Tell me more about this report, something like that. So the bot is translating the information from our wiki and provides information for user. And the idea is to break this, to build this bridge between user and reports, because this is where we lose a lot of casual users. And the third practice is email notifications about new releases and changes. It's pretty simple, right, to just send emails, but it's important to inform, because the information gap is one of the most important when we talk about the reasons of low adoption, right? So we need to send emails and inform people about new report in their workspace, reporting workspace, how we call it. And we also include some insight in the header of this notification to attract user to the idea of analyzing data. So not just, hey, you see there is a new report, but you see what you can take from this report, some insight. All right, so that's zooming, but you see this is an example of the dialogue with the chatbot. And let's continue. Another practice is feedback circle. This is, another idea why we have low adoption, because our reports are not relevant. They not reflect what user actually need, but we don't know about it because we stopped getting the feedback We focused on our reports, on developing these reports, and even and on protecting these reports. Because it's typical for us in our team to try to prolong the life of reports. And ask and find the reason why user is not, this is his fault, that he's not using this report, but the report is perfect, the design is perfect, everything is great. But the feedback is the main thing, right? And how to build the right way to stream this feedback into your team, into the team that develops report. There are different things to share. So this is the screenshot from Tableau report that we have, the template, and you see this icon with feedback. That's the way, one of the methods that we add to reports for users. So clicking there, it's another application opened when we ask the user to give specific, it can be called NPS, but it's not actually NPS. It's close to that by logic, but we ask, how useful is this report for you? Are you comfortable using this report about usability, and what would you like to change or add? So 3 questions.
Did anyone complain about the bar chart on the top right?
This is the template. This is not the real. But what you think it's not perfect, right? Or
just the bar with profit and sales on the same axis. Shopping cost.
It's crazy. Yeah, I agree.
I would fill in these feedback. That's
Okay, right. I didn't notice that actually because it's
the feedback button, right?
Right. This is the Superstore, right? I suppose. I recognize the figures. Right. Another way is to send again emails to ask to give feedback. But here, what we do more, we taking the data from Tableau, we identify users that actively using one report, and we send feedback requests to this user specifically for specific report, right? And another way, when we see that user used to actively use the report but stopped using, and we see this trend, and we also send and say, hey, we see that you stopped using this report, can you give the feedback? So that's 2 points when we try to get the feedback from user, because it's the moment and the case when user probably have it, right? So because the previous, no, another button, sorry. The previous method of getting feedback is pretty, had low efficiency, so it's not so good. People don't like to leave feedback, I don't know. Another way is, again, feedback bot, right, in Messenger, Slack, or Teams, or whatever. Again, the scenario is the same as previous. Bot is knocking and asking for feedback about specific report, because based on the metadata of Tableau, we know that this user actively used this report and probably have something to share with us. And and another was just the group channel without any sophistication. So let's jump into the second problem. That was about adoption. This one about the problem ugly and confusing content of self-service BI created cluttered BI environment. So I don't know who have the same pain about self-service content, and probably you can agree with me or disagree.
You can recognize yourself, because if you look into my first Tableau public version of my first dashboard, I think that would be quite similar to this one. But
yeah.
I don't know, there's
I think that's already an example of some art, because it's the worse the better, right? So maybe it's can be a fashionable, like, new way to design. So yeah. But ugly design is not the main problem of self-service, as based on our experience. So the more sensitive is that, like, self-service, if it is not guided, right, it generates inconsistencies in metrics, obsolete content, and finally can generate some disorientation for end users and for executive users. So that's the problem that is even more like important for us. But let's start with several practices. What we call dashboard design hygiene practices. First, a number of practices to prevent chaos, and a number of practices to fix chaos. To prevent, of course, like, basic stuff is Tableau template with some pre-designed elements, right, to give for users some pre-built tool, right? Everyone already has something like that, with style guide as a collection of best practices. What can you add to this is some checklists with audit automation. So that is, again, some additional extension, right, developed in probably your Messenger corporate, but it should send push messages to developer, to the author, publisher, about different mistakes that were identified. For example, you publish the report with the extract of 1 gigabyte, and that's not acceptable, guys, and we need to review this. Or another thing is, like, we can identify that the report was published without using template. It also can be parsed from the server, right, and can be the bot can ask publisher, hey, you see, it seems that you don't have the template inside. Please add, like, navigation, check your fonts, and etc. This is like the example of the checks, different types of checks regarding design, workbook architecture, like types of filters, colors, and etc. And we divide this into long checks and fast checks. Fast checks, can be easily done, even peer-to-peer, but long checks require some time. But that's another story. I will not dive into this specific view. So what we already also do have, when centralized BI team provides the beautification service into self-service team, just we take the report quickly and dramatically improve it in terms of the quality of visualization. And also we have so-called big cleanup day, when we promote this as a time, guys, book in your calendars, and we will together we'll have some cleaning, and we can do some mentorship and etc. So that helps to get significant improvement in the quality of our reports overall, right? So next point, certification. This is a very huge topic. I will not dive into everything inside, but just like one aspect of this process is what we, again, this is related to self-service, right? And the essence is that we build the process of labeling reports recommended for usage by specific data domain, business owner, right, that owns this data. So that's not just a label, it's a process. When this badge actually recommended by or certified by it gives some additional trust. It confirms the data is accurate. It was checked, and also we have real regular reviews of this content with these corporate functions, and there is also the process of transition of content, but let's skip it. So the third approach that you can apply to self-service problem is actually don't do anything, right? Do nothing, relax, and just let it burn. So what I mean, when you already completed initiatives related to Tableau trainings, community, templates, guides, automated content management, then you probably need to relax because first, self-service content should be ugly, actually. I mean, it's actually should work for its short-term purpose as we see it, right? And then it can die, and that's okay. It can be reborn to something new, again, based on the current existing business goal, or it can be migrated into governed cross-functional reporting layer with centralized or hybrid ownership between self-service team and centralized team. So here this is how it works in our team. Self-service for casual users. I mean, this is a task of trying to involve managers and I don't know, people from non-analytical roles into using Tableau. So I don't know what's your experience, but here we have we facing with like right now we understand it as it would not work better based on current tool set. So here we chill and wait until new conversational BI becomes truly functional. So when the Einstein will become the mature Einstein, and these times it seems are coming. The third problem, that's the last one. It's the challenge of providing your BI team with the path to grow. Otherwise, they are leaving you, unfortunately. So I don't know. Again, this is the challenge, the problem of managers, but probably you feel it already, and you get these feedbacks from your team regarding work content, regarding their burnout, regarding providing them with upgrade path, right, with development, personal, professional development plans, and how junior BI, junior Tableau should become middle, senior, and what's actually included into this path. So what is the solution? Again, this is some mix of our practices, so probably you have something more. I should mention that tool was built based on another tool of another guy who is Roman Bunin. He is actually planned to be here, but he is also here in the Netherlands. It's the BI Analyst Competency Matrix, but we improved it, and we have another tool, which is, again, open source, and we published it in community. So what's included inside? This is the file, the Excel, or sort of like spreadsheets in Google, which includes the questionnaire, which divided into sections. This is 6 categories and 6 groups of skills, and 57 skills inside, which any, again, analyst, BI developer can fulfill and get the picture of where is his seniority is, and you can also configure these settings for your company to make this scoring model reflect your way of looking at seniority. But you see, the idea is like when you just choose the option from drop-down list, and it's pretty easy to use. We use it actually for several processes, for hiring process, for team seniority audit, and for creating plans, development plans, and also encourage self-development, because also we have right part, there is a links for each skill, how you can develop some skills for courses, books, articles, and etc. So yeah, if you're interested, I can share the links. So the last point here is again about the team. We often twice a year we have BI strategic workshops where we basically try to generate meanings for the team and reload our motivation. That works with using strategic initiatives. That helps us to drive, again, change projects, like significant change projects inside our BI team, and at the same time motivate team members with out-of-the-box tasks. Many ideas, projects, initiatives appear during these workshops, that most of them, all of practices that I've shown also were developed at some point during these workshops. So basically that's it. From these initiatives we generate actually BI department strategic goals, annual mostly, right? And you see how the BI development strategic goals will link to personal goals. So left-hand side you see the annual performance development plan for a specific BI developer. That includes 3 types of goals. Project goal, like, you know, refactoring of specific report or model, right? Professional development goal that relates specifically to upgrade guide, and goal related to strategic initiative. So everybody in our team should be part of this or that initiative as a driver or as a contributor. So, and you see on the top we have number of goals. Some of them are masked, but anyway, this is a pretty real example how we right now see our goals. But just a brief example, again, the first is to multiply the value of centralized BI reporting assets with goal level 2 about increasing the adoption figures and improvement the performance speed of reports. Reducing dependence, this is about, again, creating self-service improvement frameworks. Transparency of data, this is about data cataloging, and etc. So yeah, at the bottom you see to reduce time to insight for key management roles, and here we developed these initiatives related to Insight Digest, ChatGPT testing, Tableau innovations in this area, and trying to build some new, brand new interface and product, so non-dashboard interface, right, that would have really good time to insight. Several positive messages at the end. So the first, I think, should be correct. So BI as a function that translates data into understandable form has no risk to disappear during last at least 10 years. That's why, that's because we have poor data quality, and that it blocks a lot of insight generation initiatives. Hidden context and assumptions always will be with us, and it would be hard to automate this context. Significant trust gap between managers and machine generated insights. It's what we're facing right now when we provide people with machine-generated insights. So this trust gap, it's always, requires from manager some human analyst work that should be done on insight to be accepted. So that's why we are on the safe space as BI function. And also another point is that these practices that I've shown may turn out to be over-engineering sometimes, and even it could be a dead-end road. I mean, we can finally understand that it's too much and it's not working, etc. But this is like our creative. We take it as a risk, but finally you can also make the same exercise, and it drives the positive, changes inside the team. So updating the innovation map and calmly strive to perfection. That's probably Tableau blueprint. I need to mention it here. It also was a source of inspiration for us. It's maybe in some cases not so specific, but you can take some general guides there and develop your own practices, like the setup that I presented. So that's it. Any feedback so far? So I promised to end up with again some Tableau related stuff, right? More specific to the tool itself. So I'm showing the graph, right? Let me show another trick of our corporate team. So it's a typical problem of write-back tools, right? And probably you have your own, or there is some commercial products, but we developed a pretty simple solution, and we always use it, and we have, more than 10 command tools, how we call it. So actually this is a write-back tool. When you just want to leave a comment and write it into the database and reflect it back on the dashboard. So it's not a dashboard, right? It's some more technical report with some filters and crosstab. And you see, I can show it like in Tableau, but this is the web window, web interface that is embedded here with this form. And with using actions, we can open and write here in this window some comments, press save. It would be saved into the database, and then in live, this data source is included into this workbook so that you can reflect comments and have them already in the report. So it can be used for leaving comments when business need to, or financial partners, like for example, need to comment some deviations of the forecast, and managers should be able to get these insights when somebody comments some figures. Or there are different use cases, but maybe you have more. And by the way, the last maybe trick here, again, maybe you already know it, but when you present anything to somebody with information that includes some sensitive data, you can spend a lot of efforts like replacing the data, but you can also just use another font like I did here when I just use specific font that you see. It's just font that masks actually the text, right? It's pretty simple, yeah, but effective. Just no need to regenerate the data or somehow replace it. You can just mask it. And again, maybe you can reuse this in your presentations when you do something like that. Thank you. I think I should finish it, right?
Yeah, so welcome back to your roots. Yeah, you're here at Nextview Consulting. I'm going to explain a bit, of course, about who we are, what we do, but also I want to spend some time at least to also give you an insight on how our projects are run and maybe some of those topics you can take home. If you have any questions, feel free to just raise your hand. I like a bit of interaction. I don't know about you. Yes. Okay, great. So my name is Luc Martens. I'm the practice manager, global practice manager for data analytics, which is actually just team lead. And I'm also running some of the projects myself as a consultant. So we're trying to really stay sort of a flat organization. We have about 200 employees spread out across Europe, but our main base is here in the Netherlands. We have an office, well, in Eindhoven, because you're here, but also in Amsterdam, but we originated from Den Bosch. And my personal introduction is actually very intertwined with the company. 5 years ago, I joined Nextview. I actually joined as the practice manager data analytics SAP. And back then, the Nextview group was actually 3 different companies. It was one company focusing on SAP implementations, in particular BO and BW and HANA. We had one company called the Design Thinking Center, which was a design academy, and it was also a place where we ran creative workshops by all kinds of service designers. And the third company was a Salesforce company back then called B3. I don't know if that even rings a bell, but probably it's so long ago that that's not the case anymore. And during my probation time, actually the last day of my probation time, I got a call from the owner. And the owner said, well, Luc, I have to tell you something. I'm first going to tell you what, then I'm going to tell you why, and only then you are allowed to respond. And he didn't call me during those 2 months. So this was the first sort of moment I really had with him. And he came with that news, so you can imagine that I thought, okay, why did I leave Capgemini? Why did I leave my job? How long, like, what do I do now? And he started with, well, Luc, we're going to stop all of our SAP activities. So I still thought that. Back then, SAP was 60% of our revenue, so it was the majority, the biggest company that we had. And he went on his conversation, well, we're going to put all our efforts on Salesforce, because we betted on SAP cloud technology. It's not being sold in Europe. It's not meeting the same level of quality that other vendors are making. And we believe that on the Salesforce side, there's so much work to do. Data, especially in CRM, is a super important topic, and it's at the core also of a useful CRM implementation. So we're going to put everything, all of our money into Salesforce. You can imagine that with a team, I actually had some people in my team who did like 15 years of SAP. Telling them this news was maybe not the thing that they were looking for, but we all took up the challenge and made the transition. So we have a team. We're now with 20 people in all kinds of different countries. We all have a BI background, so I think we're quite a lot like you all. But I think the main difference is that about 5 years ago, we also became CRM consultants. And to be honest, when we started, from a BI perspective, we thought, wow, Salesforce, it's a business application, and it's only putting some check marks here and there, and where's the challenge, where's the creativity, where's the advanced AI, and we can do so much more when we look at BI. In that resistance in the first month, there was one really key moment. And I don't know if you remember, but 4.5 years ago, Salesforce announced the Tableau acquisition. So that was like 2-3 months into our transition. And that really made a couple of my team's eyes sparkle, because they thought, well, you know, if now suddenly Tableau, which was like the Rolls Royce of data visualization, is now part of the Salesforce network, okay, it's still two separate tools, and 4 years later, it's still sort of two separate tools, but we're moving into that same direction. And it did say something about the money that they spent on that as a sign on how much Salesforce believes in data and analytics. And that for my team also was really a core driver for that transformation. We basically took, because we created a new company basically, right, from those 3 different companies, and we took 4 pillars of strategy. One was that we really believe that we're not just a consulting firm when it comes to commercially. We also want to make sure that when we are doing work, that it actually contributes to a better world, both on the cultural side, but also in our projects. That was one sort of key aspect that we thought, okay, if we are going to hire people, if people are working for us, that has to be sort of a core aspect of what you like and what you agree on. There was obviously one topic. We want to be specialized in one vendor. So we're not going to do all kinds of different vendors. We're just locked to Salesforce. That one is our partner, and we're going to be the best at Salesforce and everything that Salesforce has in the portfolio. The third one is from our, especially design thinking methods, from our business consultancy that they've done. That's what we wanted to embed here as well. So besides being a technology expert, we also want to make sure that we are a conversation partner for the business. I really like the previous topic where it also said, right, that you are a service to the business, and you have to look at their use cases, and you have to look at their decisions. I mean, that's where in the end it happens. And that's also from a Salesforce point of view. In general, Salesforce tends to be sold to the business teams, and then IT is informed that Salesforce is being bought, rather than the IT team that already chooses Salesforce and then tells the business that Salesforce was the vendor of choice. And that also means that most of our projects are very much ran from the business side. And I think that is, for me, as a BI person, that's great. Right? When I was in the SAP time in the BI, we were only talking to purely IT managers and BI managers. And then we knew that, yes, they are like the key decider, but he's not the end user, because the end users are in the business and we can't talk to them. So how do we know what they want? And from a sales perspective, we sort of position that differently. We started in the Netherlands. We then moved to other countries. We recently started Stockholm and Zurich, and we did a large acquisition last year for Poland and Czech Republic. And that's sort of how we grow within Europe. We're now roughly, I think, the number 55 of the world when it comes to certified consultants. If you zoom in purely on the boutiques, so not the system integrators like Capgemini and Accenture, etc., we're roughly around the 15th place of the world as of certification. So I think that sort of positions us as really a leading boutique, and that's also our strategy. We want to be the alternative for those system integrators, and we are not challenged with internal political discussions on which vendor you're going to choose. So that's why we're so dedicated. From our service designers, that design-led approach stuck with us. And that's also what you experience today. That's the basis for our offices, all of them. As consulting firm, we should be at the clients. So we should be at the offices of the client, so we don't need that many workspaces here. So rather, we actually position our workspace here as a tool for our project implementations. So when we start new projects, whether it's a small Tableau project or a super big CRM implementation, we try to get all the stakeholders in a kickoff day here to actually creatively together onboard each other on the project, refine the scope, manage all the expectations, determine the priorities and the planning, and to really go from there as a starting point. And these kinds of rooms our clients don't always have, so that's actually our added value there from our office. And there are small details in here, like the floor. It's like sort of a Dutch sports hall. I don't know if it's also international sports hall, but it's meant to sort of trigger your subconsciousness that you're going to be active. And then we're letting you sit here all day. So maybe later we will become active. From the design thinking perspective, and this is also where this is actually part of the onboarding for my new team members, so you already have part of it. But we start from here. So we try to, whenever we have a discussion with a client, to split two different things. So one is the solution space. So Tableau is the solution, but we don't want to talk about that. We first want to talk about which problem do you have, because a lot of times a solution is being selected from the beginning, and then when you look at the problem, you actually have the wrong solution. It's either over-engineered or it's not capable of actually solving what the real problem is. So splitting that discussion also in like our kickoffs and in our meetings to really first talk about the context of the problem, and starting from there, getting everybody on the same page, that really drives in the end doing the things right at the first time. Obviously, afterwards, we look at how feasible and viable and desirable it is. I think we're being checked if the doors are closed by the security. And we actually take that mentality and we do it on all kinds of levels. So sometimes we're actually in a boardroom challenging the CEO on what is it exactly that you sell, which is a very fun conversation to have because you get all range of answers. And usually it's none of the right ones. But we also apply it to the lowest level, and that can be like a data visualization or a Salesforce user interface, but really from a user interface point of view, like how do you design, what is the real problem that you're trying to solve with this user interface, and how do you make it as user-friendly as possible? And that's where we, like in all that range, we apply it. So we're doing CRM projects and we're doing data analytics projects, and I think the majority is from a CRM basis. So I think 80 or 90% of our work is actually a CRM implementation, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, or a combination of those. And what we tend to see when we determine the scope for that implementation is that on the business side, like a sales expert or a marketing expert or a service expert is being chosen as a product owner. Usually someone from the team itself that is running the current business, as tends to be sort of a super user, that's somebody who knows the business. But they tend to have low data literacy. So when we talk to them, when those types of product owners are trying to define how the product should look like, they don't do it with the data literate mind that hopefully most of you have. And that means that already in determining the scope, the CRM implementation is lacking a valuable part of which insights, which data inspired, which data possibilities can you put in that CRM. If you then look further in the selection of the scope, I don't know how many of you did ever like a big business application implementation, but when you talk about the requirements, 10 out of 10 times the budget doesn't fit all the requirements, so we have to choose. In those situations, the product owners tend to want to be able to execute the process and then just say, well, later on we will monitor the process. But if you don't think about it in the beginning on how you want to monitor, I can guarantee you, you will not collect the data that you want to monitor. So that's like a second thing that really pulls the CRM project further away from actually being helpful from a data perspective. And the third one is when the project, like when the shit hits the fan, sorry for my language, but what gets descoped, if it's even already in there, well, usually the data level requirements, the reports, dashboards, etc. And then we go live with a project without actually having the method or the tools to monitor what's happening. So then the answer is, well, you should involve BI, right? You should involve BI. But as a translator, so I'm sorry I might hurt some feelings here, but as a translator between the two, what we tend to see at our clients is that BI, when you talk about a business application implementation and you talk about the integration to BI, the first thing you hit is the defensive governance, sort of the traditional view. Everything has to be secure, everything has to be like to be in the detailed, it has to fit the data governance, this and that and that and that. And then that product owner from the CRM side, he says, well, BI doesn't want to collaborate. They're only coming with additional requirements, and I can't even hit my requirements with the budget. So there's this sort of antagonist relationship happening. even if they sort of do move in that sense and they do like help out, we see that there's not enough of those business use case thinking from a BI perspective. It tends to very quickly focus already on what could be possible with BI tools, etc. Or usually, well, what you're trying to do in your system, you should do in a Tableau report rather than in the operational report. So there's always discussions on what do you do where, and again, that pulls away the two domains further. And at some point, they just say, well, you know what, you as a business application, don't worry about your reports and dashboards. We will do it in a separate project afterwards. Yeah, and then you have the two domains completely spread. And what we're looking for is there's so much value in actually involving BI in your CRM implementation from the start. And I think, and that's maybe the thing that I would like to add with the previous speaker, is that you have to be involved in every new system that's being implemented in your data landscape from the start. Because your data literacy will help that implementation being better. And rather than keeping them away or not being interested, keeping it really separated, that will hurt your long-term data analytics roadmap, and it will also definitely hurt the business case of that business application implementation. And this is where my team, where we as the Nextview team are positioned. In a lot of the CRM implementations that we do, the first thing we do is to connect with the BI manager, to really see how we can be a voice of their BI manager, a set of eyes, a architect, a ambassador, whatever, but to make sure that that BI team is not separated from the CRM implementation. If we do a data project, we do the opposite. The first thing we try to do is to connect with the sales manager or the service manager or whoever manager of the end users that you're trying to help out, to really ensure that those business application specialists also understand what you're trying to do and together determine the best architecture. What are you going to solve in the business application? What are you going to solve in your data engineering? And to be honest, from a data quality perspective, you want to solve it in the source, right? You don't want to fix it afterwards. So that's sort of how we run our CRM projects, the biggest ones, because that's when you can actually afford a specialist in the team when it comes to CRM. So when we do a CRM implementation, you map the process, right? You sort of business capabilities, what do you want to achieve, how should it work, what can it do, and then you build it. But the factor that's forgotten mostly is that it's actually more like this. So it's never one process, one instance in the right order. It's usually everything, like multiple opportunities, for instance, or multiple cases, or depending on like which domain you're in. It's always a messy process. There's not one process at the same time going on. If you then take that you want to monitor all that, like you have to include those requirements to the project. Sometimes the analysis itself is the business process. That's often also forgotten in CRM implementations, and those tend to be then thrown to the business intelligence team as requirements, but then it lacks the synergy with actually the business process itself, because usually before the analysis and after the analysis, you still want to do something with the data and rather not copy-paste it, right? You don't want to alt-tab to a different, to Tableau and then copy-paste it back into your Salesforce environment. Probably there's a reason from the CRM system that you even went into the Tableau dashboard. Probably you're looking for a customer, so why don't you immediately be able to click through it or to use your slice of dice from your report to immediately populate tables in Salesforce. So really that merge between BI tools and CRM tools. And that's why we look at the day in the life of, rather than looking at specific processes. And an example is like this. This is one of the examples where we really sort of look through, and we call it a service blueprint. We look through the user journey or the customer journey. We map the employee journey under that. We look through that to determine which decision points are there. And those decision points are basically our user stories that we need to develop something for. And I think that matches a lot with the previous speaker, right? It's all about those decisions and the tools that you support in those decisions. And it's the end users that you help. Yeah, and from our point of view, those users tend to be mostly focusing in Salesforce. That's the way where their business process is. So that my team, besides knowing Tableau and CRM Analytics, also know Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud. That helps them also as an analyst to relate to how that process should work and what the best solution could be. We also have the more beautiful, of course, it's the one in Dutch. And this is also where it's a great tool to communicate. So often those days in the lives of are being used in the adoption or the change management packages. So it's sort of a double-edged sword, right? On one side, it helps the team determine the scope, determine the context, and on the other hand, you can actually use it as a tool for your end users to also understand what you've built. How far am I in scope, in time? Still good. I was told to be short, but I always have a difficulty in being short. So when we do a more data-related implementation, we also use a framework. It's also sort of adopted or mixed from the Tableau blueprint. We have it in slightly, it's sort of a mix between frameworks. It's more like, in Dutch we say kapstok. It's a checklist, you know. It's not holy, but it helps you structure your mind. It helps in a project to not miss large topics. The first thing where we always look at, and that can be very small or very big, is like, what do you want to achieve as a company? What's your strategy? So if we go into a sales, in a sales project for the sales department, what are you trying to achieve? What is your strategy? Where do you want to go? We already try to quantify that to sort of see if they're really like steering towards that. We basically then look at, and we go from right to left. So we look at who are those consumers, which decisions from the service blueprint do they make? Okay, what information is then needed, and where is that data being captured? And for each of those, we basically look at those 9. Are there 9? 7. We used to have 9. 7 topics, and those are actually checklists that for each of those topics we always check the people, process, and technology axis. And I know this is a bit of consulting, right? But this is sort of a way to structurally your project and to build the scope. What we tend to see is that on the left side, these are like projects mostly about governance. We see the middle ones usually around platform, and we see the last ones usually as the main topics for more BI and operational reporting topics as the emphasis. But you usually have to still, you at least want to know where the data is coming from, even if you're on the far right. Yeah, what do we do at clients? So these are some of the clients. I always try to at least explain to them also like what they're really, sort of what kind of category they are, but usually they don't really care. But if you look sort of from left to right, I'll take Polestar for instance example. This is actually where we work together as with our service designers mainly, where we didn't touch any technology. So this is a topic where we actually did interviews with people who are test driving a Polestar 2 in one of the test stores, and we interviewed them. And the pure reason was to find out how do they want to be followed up on. Like, do they want to do a test drive today and then tomorrow receive a call, or tomorrow receive an email, or do you want to wait 3 months? Or so that's what was one part. So how can we personalize the process after the test drive to fit and to guide the client in making a decision about the car? And what we actually found was that besides, that there were sort of segments, right? So from a qualitative analysis, we basically found that there are different groups. Some indeed want to be very fast connected, other ones are not. So lease drivers tend to want to connect it fast because they already missed the deadline and they now have to do a rental car in between, and thus they get the car in time. While the people who are looking more from a sustainability point of view on buying an electric car, they tend to have a longer horizon because they also look at, do I go for a loading dock in my home or not? So they tend to have a longer timeline. And I think this is very important, right? It has nothing to do with technology, but doing proper research, doing proper interviews, doing proper synthesizing the outcomes, and translating that into a data model which data are we going to capture, do we want to capture of our clients that actually determine how they are being followed up on, so automation. And I think that combination is really, really key when it comes to our approach. If you look at more of is there anyone that you want to see, by the way, or hear about? I'll just pick that one as a second. Royal Haskoning. Sadly, it's the oldest one of here. It's already 5 years ago. It was one of our first Einstein Analytics implementations. So that one is about monetization. With monetization, we take it a bit broader, so it doesn't necessarily you don't need to sell it, but it's more like part of their service. So Royal Haskoning, it's a company that manages buildings, right? They maintain buildings for instance, the gemeente Tilburg, the Schouwburg. I talked about Tilburg earlier today. The gemeente, the municipality, they own the buildings, but they actually give Royal Haskoning the maintenance of it. And what Royal Haskoning wanted is to actually serve those clients in a way that they have control over, a better control and insight over what are they doing with their buildings. And one key driver obviously is energy and isolation and sustainability. So what we did is we actually built on the Salesforce platform an app where an inspector could go to a building like that and he could easily sort of map the building. So how many, how big is the room? How many windows does it have? Is it single or double glass? All those details. And we actually used their internal knowledge base, translated into a calculation model, and put that in Einstein Analytics so that the client, so the municipality of Tilburg, could now simulate what if we do these buildings, double glass, what if for those we do a heat pump, what if for those we do that, what does that add up to the CO2 saving? And it's actually part of the service that Royal Haskoning gives to their services, and they actually pay for it, right? So there's a service fee that they pay for it. And that one actually, Royal Haskoning became a reseller of Einstein Analytics, which was impossible back then. But for every Experience Cloud user, so portal user, you also needed to have a license for Einstein Analytics, which is now called CRM Analytics, after many changes to make it easy. So that's an example there. And again, you know, from a design perspective, what's the real problem? Who's the real end user? So we did the interviews with the gemeente Tilburg and some of the other clients to really find out what their question would be to enhance the service of Royal Haskoning. Okay, so we do all Salesforce technologies, even the new ones. The new ones we tend to also invest in. I think nobody can miss anything about the AI and data cloud topics, so that's also on our list, but it's still new and still in pilot, so nobody actually has experience with it. But we are a dedicated Salesforce partner, right? So that's our focus. There's only one here that's not a Salesforce partner, and that's Snowflake. But it was a big investment of Salesforce.
I think they migrated to Snowflake. It was a LinkedIn post.
Yeah, so Salesforce Ventures, the investment firm, who also invested in Nextview, but they also invested in Snowflake, and they brought it to the stock also. The IPO of Snowflake was supported by Salesforce, and they made a killing out of it, I can tell you. Yeah, let's skip this as well. Let's go to the actual project.
Yeah, so hello, I'm Yuri, one of the team members of Luc. I'm doing data analytics projects, but also CRM projects. Working now for 2 years at Nextview. Before that, I did a lot of hospitality, hotel business, but also vacation rental. Don't know if anybody knows, but used to work for the company of Center Parks. I think all the Dutch people know. And there I touched Tableau for the first time in 2015. And after a couple of years, I got in contact with Luc. And he told me, we're a Salesforce company. And I had no idea what Salesforce was, except for the name. So yeah, 2 years ago, I logged in for the first time. And now I'm doing a lot of Salesforce work as well. But luckily, also a lot of Tableau. So a lot of theory. And now we're going into what we do as a project when we do something with Tableau. Just need to move the screen a little bit. So this one can move away. a project overview for us. So a project that we're currently doing is a Tableau implementation, and the client asked us, we have a quarterly business review that we're doing, and they have a lot of data systems and everybody is just doing snapshots, and I think some people even use Excel and query some data and then copy it over to Google Slides. So every presentation is a full-blown mess. And the client asked us, we would like to see more data, but also structure the stories. So we have 4 teams inside of our company, and they all look similar, but they have slight differences. So please help us to create 4 templates in Tableau. Create a brand and professional look into Tableau. So I have to introduce my colleague Frodo a little bit as well, because he's one of our designers and he designs everything and I build everything in Tableau. So that's a little bit of the structure in the project. And the design has to follow brand guidelines. So when you open the Tableau dashboard, it directly looks like it's a company branded dashboard. So how does the project look a little bit, and what do we do in the different phases, and how is it called inside? So we have a couple of phases, creating the context, in which, as Luc just described, we talk with everybody. What's your objective? What do you currently do, and what is your blocking point, and what is something that you do right, and do you want to change anything? Then we have the create and validate phase, in which we really start building the things, demo to the clients, and ask their input and iterate over it. And last but not least, it's to make it happen. So we have built everything, we go to the client and implement it, and they start working. We train them, and hopefully they adopt the dashboards that we have built. So those 3 phases translates into a project planning. This is a mock-up of the project. So in creating the context, which lasted for 2 or 3 weeks, we did a lot of UX and UI design topics. We also looked at the data model, looked at the systems they use. We switched over to the creating and validate, in which we use sprints. So every 2 weeks we sit down, talk over the subjects that we want to deliver in those 2 weeks. But we also let the users test and validate what we have built. So everything they get from us, they can test, can see if everything functions like they like, and we get it back. We iterate over the process. And last but not least, we're not going to show you because we're not in that phase of this project yet, but it's to make it happen. So we train the end users of what we've built, we document everything, how are the calculations, how do you use, and how you can adopt or change any calculation in the future. I can just click this one. So creating the context, and here we're going to show a little bit of the documentation that we have created in that phase. So one of the biggest questions was, we want to use Tableau, but we don't know how we want to present it to our end users. So we had a really big question mark for the creating the context phases. How are we going to make sure that the users that open the Tableau dashboard can go to their clients, make comments on the dashboards that they will be showing to the clients, and how do we make that possible? So one of the biggest topics was, how can we make comments in Tableau or outside of Tableau? So this, what you see is 9 scenarios that we worked out, like very simple data story from Tableau, which you use AI to comment your dashboards, or you just make a snapshot and paste it into Google Slide. We even talked to the guys of Apps for Tableau to embed the whole dashboard inside PowerPoint. What else did we have? We had a solution, and I think I can zoom in, where we said that you can use Google Sheets as a data source and just use a data container and connect to the Google Sheet, and also embed a Google Slide in the Tableau dashboard and then paste over the interactive parts of Google inside of it. So this was a big part of the scope. And I have to zoom out again. Also what we did during the creating the context is for every team we scoped the different parts of the dashboard, of the presentation they create, and which teams do use which kind of presentation slides, and what do we need to build inside Tableau and what can live outside of Tableau. So this is like a process map that we created. And also the design. So we draw or we make wireframes of the design that we want to build. So this is a design from Frodo. He just sit down and use the input of all the users and how does the dashboard need to look like. Next also is the to-be application landscape, because we also need to know how the data looks like, what kind of systems do we use, and where do we want Tableau to talk to. We moved some comments out of it, but in the end, after the 9 solutions, one of the solutions was in the end to use Google Slides as a presentation tooling, but in between Tableau and Google Slides, they wanted to use a secondary tooling which makes a role stack that automatically integrates parts of the Tableau dashboard inside Google Slides. So that's a tool in between. And also Google Sheets. They want to store the information about the KPIs that is being used in the dashboard in a Google Sheets document. So in case there's a new KPI that they want to track inside the dashboard, it's automatically loaded as a data source, and they have like an information pane where they can see what kind of KPIs are in which dashboards and how it's calculated and what kind of information does it tell. The create and validate phase. So this is a mock-up of a data flow in which we created a data model. I think everybody can see this is Tableau prep. Some information that we received from the client, and in the end we get an output file. And now let's go to the Tableau demo in which we created the dashboard. I think I have it here. So we removed a lot of dashboards because we only wanted to show the dashboard that we created in the end of the design that you saw in the presentation 2 slides ago. So the starting point of every dashboard is how is the dashboard and what kind of data is it containing, tips and tricks. You see it's blank text, but people can click here and it will show also the list of the KPIs that are in the dashboard. We have a setup page in which people can select everything that they use inside the dashboard. What kind of partner are you going to use the QBR with? And also a settings page. For example, they can do a quarterly business review or a monthly business review, or they can select the time period and they want to show. So if you change dimension of the time period, it will show you a mock-up of how parts of the dashboard will look like. And if you change the quarterly business review to a monthly business review, and I need to reconnect, hopefully it works, it changes the KPI information. So this is a part of how the dashboard is set up.
Maybe good to mention, purple was not the company color. We changed it because the branding was so good that even without the logo, you would recognize which client this is.
Yeah. I made it very ugly.
So it's now
really
purple,
nice.
but
and then you saw the design that was sketched upon, and this is one of the dashboards that we created. So they wanted to track of where are all the people going to. So they had like IDs. We want to see like lines of where people are going from and going to. But we tried it out and we iterated over it, and in the end, this was the design. So we have a country or the world map in which all the countries are filled where people are coming from and people are going to, and then the cities are little dots. And if you go on a dot, it will show you in the tooltip exactly which city it is and what their production or the volumes are for the last quarter. But also a nice thing is that we have the top 15 destination cities on the world. But when you click one country, it will show you the top 15 destination only in that country that's highlighted. So they have an interactive part which they then can use into the Google Slides presentation that they do on a quarterly basis. Any questions regarding the whole process from theory to practice?
Just one quick question, why you haven't designed a filter by country? Because there could be some tiny countries across the world that you...
Yeah, we have also a different dashboard, which I removed from this one, where you can select 1 or 3 countries, and it will zoom in into like Germany, and it will show you the cities of Germany. We also used one dashboard where you only see the top 15 in the bar chart, and you can filter through from where the people are coming from to where they are going to a country, to a region and a city. So they have multiple dashboards, but we only showed you now from a design to one end dashboard. But we couldn't show everything. It's only 10, then the data only has 10 cities, except I don't know why, but let's see. Maybe in Brazil, that's more. No, it's only 10, so we have to look into that. It's good. Can be that 15 is in the text and not linked to the parameter. You can check on the setup page.
What is the gray bar? Is it planning figure?
No, so what it does is the gray bar is the last year information, and the colored bar is this year. So what they always want to track is, for example, if you remove, then you see a big drop in Santiago. So maybe the entire Chile information, and Chile is a very small country, so
Here we go. Yeah.
there we are. So then you can click on Chile, and you can investigate maybe the entire country of Chile has a production drop, and you want to investigate that more. So that's the interactive part of Tableau helps the account managers to answer their questions that they want to tell the partners. It's now, yeah, because
says top
I
20,
changed
but
the
it's still 10.
parameter, but let's make it top 10. That
Now
works.
But the people, so the workflow works like that. They select it for the monthly review and then make a screenshot and put it into the Google sign. And so what exactly?
In MVP1, so the first phase of the project, people will work with screenshots. But next year, when they have tested the QBR that we built in Tableau, they want to acquire the tool of RollStack, because Google doesn't allow any iframe embedding inside Google Slides. They are stuck to the Google Suite part, so they have to use Google Slides, but you cannot embed Tableau in there. So they lose interactivity, but they want to use RollStack for that, which they created a tool where you can connect to Tableau and also to Salesforce and other tools, visualization tools, and they take like frames, make a screenshot of it, and paste it as a frame inside Google Slides. But it will be static.
Can we look into the Google Data Studio for, I'm sorry, I know that you know from Tableau, but did we ever discuss that maybe we should use another tool like Looker or Google Data Studio?
Yeah, during the creating the context, when we
Well,
did the 9 solutions.
First of all, before we got hired, they did an extensive tool selection.
Yeah.
And they came up with
Live Preso.
Live Preso as their ideal
Yeah.
solution.
But it was like 10 times more expensive as Tableau, and board management told them, you already have Tableau, so start using it. So that was also the biggest challenge for us in the first weeks, because as Luc said, sometimes you have to tell the client that Tableau or maybe Salesforce or Power BI is not the best tool for the thing they want to do. In this case, we were stuck to, you have to use Tableau, find a solution for us to present it. And that was our biggest challenge in this
Yeah, and I
project
think when
today.
it comes to the commenting, right, we're talking about the qualitative analysis that somebody makes based on this, and then telling the partner through that comment in the slide on what they're looking at. And the problem there is that we're working in the same workbook with like, I don't know, 200?
1,400.
1,400 in total,
Partner,
but
yeah, but they have 1,400 partners where they have to do a QBR with. So
yeah, and it's like I think it's like 200 account managers or partner managers. So if we would have used like a commenting solution, they would be in each other's way with the data. So we really had to make it separate. And yeah, that's why it was decided, at least for now, to let them do the qualitative commenting just in the Google Slides, where they will be in the end anyway. But they would have to sacrifice the interactivity. And that was like a really big thing, because they actually wanted to have the interactivity during it itself as well. So they wanted sort of both. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we also can show in the solutioning that we did. It's not only writing down what the solution can do and how it will look like, and how the process will be, and why I'm stuck. So where the preparation lies, how the QBR day will look like, but we also wrote down advantages and drawbacks, but they also did like a matrix. So on the topics that we discussed, what they really need, like we don't have creators, so it's not possible to give everybody access to Tableau. Which kind of solution that you propose can do or cannot do anything, or which tool will be used for the QBR, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's like a PAC matrix where you score the subject, and then in the end you come to your preference tool. So this was like the first 3 weeks of the project, only discussing and investigating what we needed to do. Any more questions? Then I think we can go to drinks.
Do they make screenshots?
Sorry?
Do they make screenshots of the
Yeah, sorry?
of the visuals?
Now they're going to create screenshots, but that's just for the first iteration of the dashboard that we're going to deliver. Maybe they have some feedback during the process from the partners, but in the end they want to use secondary tooling to automatically create all the QBR dashboards and decks. And that's the company Rollstack does that. It's
Instead of the screenshots.
Yeah.
But it's still essentially an automated screenshot, right? Almost
Yeah,
like-
it's like screenshot tooling inside Google Slides, where you have like a template and then it.
But you can also, in Tableau, you can also put .pdf or .png behind the URL, and then you can also get the PDF or PNG if it fits.
Yeah, but you have to tell me how that works then.
Very simple.
Maybe during the drink.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So, yeah, just also in the interest of time, I think I'm a little thirsty, so I'd like to grab a drink. Also, good opportunity for everyone to, just if you have any questions for our presenters or for each other, to get to learn about each other a little bit more. So again, thanks a lot for having us here at Nextview, and thanks everyone for presenting, Alex, Yuri, I think again, if you have any topics that you'd like to share, like we saw today, or anything really very different related to Tableau or analytics, let us know. We hope to see you next time. We don't have a date yet for the next event, but it's coming up. And thanks for being here, and we might be able to catch up a little bit over some drinks.
Thank you.